plead innocent of all charges.
Talk about the good times with Talking Elvis.
Hello, welcome to episode 26 of Talking Elvis. Still going strong here. I hope you enjoyed the last couple of episodes about the dodgy films. I think there's plenty more to run with those. I seem to have a shelf full of them. Got some nice interviews recorded this week. And look, we're in August again. August the 16th. It's crazy because it only seems like yesterday that I was a kid watching news at 10 with Reggie Bosenket in 1977 saying Elvis has died. You know, I couldn't believe it. Stayed up all night listening to Radio Luxembourg, and it's weird now that you can buy tapes of those nights and the LPs and whatever.
Talking Elvis, a new podcast.
What has Elvis brought us? It's brought us so many friends. Some really long-lasting friends, a lot of acquaintances, but a lot of good times, a lot of fun. And just this week I was doing an interview, and I'd had an email about the ETA section I wanted to do, about good or bad. And I had an email from Olivia, who had some really good points. So I said, let's put together an interview, and she agreed. I thought we'd just use a few sound bites out of it, but wow, I really enjoyed this, and I think she had some great views. I want to put it out as a whole. So this week is my interview with Olivia. Our guest today, all the way from, where is it, Ohio?
Ohio.
Oh, right. I think I could even pinpoint that on a map. Whereabouts are you? What are you near? What would I know? Are we Memphis and up or Memphis and across?
Oh, I'm maybe 10 hours north of Memphis. We're right across. We're kind of close to Canada up here, right next to the.
Right, over the top end, are we? Oh, right. So you know a thing or two about weather then?
Yeah, sure. It's cold here, and I'm not originally from here, so that's been a little. The winters have been an adjustment a little bit.
Oh, right. Oh, that's good then. And we've got Olivia Murphy with us, who's got some interesting stories to tell you. What I'd like to do is what I do with any guest on here. We've got our little 5 questions. Have you ever been to Graceland?
No, I have not actually. Next month was going to be a bigger birthday for me, my 30th. So I was hoping to go for that. My husband was planning on taking me, but of course, with everything going on, we decided to kind of hold off until travel was a little bit more easy.
I think it would be awful doing Memphis halfway. We were booked to go in June, and it got, they pulled the plug on it. But I was so glad it did get cancelled because I didn't want to go, well, you can go in, but you can't touch, or you can't do this and you can't do that. But I hadn't been since 1985, so I'm ancient. Right.
Before I was born.
That's good. Weird question here because it may not be so relevant. Where were you when or how did you hear about Elvis had died? Were you a fan from forever, and you just knew it, or?
So of course he was dead long before I was.
Yeah, I did the maths.
However, I do remember kids kind of joking about it in, around 3rd grade, just kids being stupid and saying like, "Oh, the king died on the toilet," and then I kind of remember going home and asking my mom like, "What did these kids like? What was that about?" I didn't know what they were referencing, and she kind of explained a little bit about that, and then I just kind of grew up with always having Elvis having been gone, and I never really knew anyone who was a really big fan of him, so I never got to hear stories of people experiencing like his death live and stuff.
It was weird. I mean, I was only a kid at the time, but it's still enough to knock you for 6. So had you always been a fan, as far as you can remember, musically? Did you go through everything, every other rebellious phase?
No, I haven't always been a fan. I've always liked older music, like disco and things like that. But he was never played at home, so I kind of am more of a new fan. I recently discovered him actually in Ohio. We have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And
of course, yes.
It's really cool if you ever.
Yeah, I really need to go to that. Yes.
If anyone ever gets a chance to go, it's really fabulous, and they of course have a huge section on Elvis, and so that kind of is what turned me on. I read things about him that I just had no idea, especially about how much praise he gave to African American artists, and how that really wasn't popular at the time, and he was kind of an innovator in that way, and that made me gain a lot of respect for him that I had never really heard about before. So that was kind of my start, only a couple years ago.
Which is perfect, and I love that whatever music you look at, and if you take the time to look at its history, you go, oh yeah, Oasis, Beatles, Elvis, you go all the way back. And I'll listen to any music, not just Elvis, but live music is what I'm really missing at the moment.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
because we can't do that, because that was just amazing. Next question, off the top of your head, if you could only have one Elvis song now, what would it be?
I guess I would say Long Black Limousine.
Oh,
It's a
that.
really good one. Sometimes it's if I'm in a sad mood, I can't listen to it because it's a
Oh
little.
yeah, you're gonna get through a lot of Kleenex.
But that's kind of what I do consistently go to.
Yeah, I mean that's the joy of the '69 sessions, isn't it? That if the what ifs of what if he did more like that. Oh wow,
Yeah.
so influential. Favorite film of all
Um,
of all these films? If you could just watch one now.
I think I would have to say Loving You.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I know it's kind of a cheesy one, but it's one of the earlier ones which I like, and a lot of music, and the scene with the jukebox, you can't beat that.
Yeah, that is such a good idea. The scene with the jukebox, I love it. Yeah, Elvis in vivid color in the '50s. It's as good as it gets, isn't it? Would
Yeah,
Jailhouse Rock have really worked in color? Don't like colorized much, but that
yeah.
just shot off the screen, didn't it? Brilliant. And my last question, which you'll probably throw something at me for, is: do you dress up like Elvis?
I don't. I never have.
It's really weird because I always say no, I don't, no, I don't, but I might wear badges, or I wore an in concert jacket, and people go, well, that's just as bad. So I don't judge you for that. But that's wonderful. So thanks for coming on. And you wrote to us, and you had a lovely little story. And for the ETA show, I want to use that as well. So could you tell us your story first, then please, and then then I want to find out a little bit more of the feelings behind it and things, and sort of what your view is of tribute artists. That'd be great.
Sure. For Christmas this past year, my husband bought me tickets to see this show, and it was called the Elvis Tribute, I think. So we didn't really know what exactly to expect from it. I had seen obviously cover bands before, and they don't dress up like the person; they just will do a straight cover, their kind of own version. So we were thinking, hopefully, it would be more of that than the fat old men jumpsuit kind of thing. But whatever happens, happens. It's just, it's a night out. We can either really enjoy the music or get a good laugh out of it. So we kind of tried to go with an open mind, which I'm glad we did, because it was not quite what I had expected. So like you mentioned, it was an Elvis tribute artist event. So um, yeah, so it was actually extremely entertaining. There were three different tribute artists who, each kind of took a different decade. So there was a man representing 50s Elvis, and then 60s, and of course 70s. We kind of just sat in the audience, looked around, waited for the show to start. And once the lights went down, it was chaos. It was nuts. The crowd went wild, and we just kind of looked at each other, my husband and I, like, did we miss them? Like, did one of these guys win? What kind of kept going through my mind was, did someone win like American Idol? Like, is someone famous that we didn't know about or something? But I think it was just the crowd being really excited to see an Elvis tribute artist. Um, the gentleman came on, and I have to say, he was extremely talented. They all had incredible voices, and that was really nice to see that they really didn't make a big joke out of that part of it. But yeah, he sung the 50s songs. And then he started throwing teddy bears into the crowd, and the crowd just went nuts. The girls were screaming as if Elvis Presley was throwing his own teddy bear collection at you. It was just really crazy. And really the same kind of reaction throughout the show. Nothing like that when the 70s Elvis came on, though. I don't know why, but I mean, it was after intermission, so maybe people had a few more drinks in them at that point. I don't know. But yeah, the women were crazy. And it was really women of all ages. I was really interested to see, how old the people would be. I expected that I would be the youngest in the audience by far, but it kind of was arranged. There were families there. There were, women there who I think probably were teenagers when you first started. It kind of ran the gamut. So that was interesting to see. But the women kind of just rushed the stage and really were trying to get kisses from the men and touch the men, and the performers are really great in playing along with that. They did give out kisses. They threw out scarves. They they threw out the teddy bears, like I said. So they did a really great job, really impersonating Elvis in that way. We've all seen those video clips of him doing that during the show, so that was a lot of fun. But I think the funniest part of it was that this event was held in our local performing arts center. And what typically goes on there are the traveling Broadway show, the Cleveland Ballet, and an international jazz festival. So the employees and the volunteers here, who are the ushers, typically in this evening, they served as security guards as well because they had to. But they really weren't expecting, I think, the energy of the crowd. So they had to ask the ladies multiple times to sit down. We saw them getting on the radio to call for backup because for one, retirement age and up, these poor gentlemen trying to be the security guards, they really weren't expecting what they got. So um so yeah, that was pretty much what the event was.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Ford along with Jamie Kay from the Jungle Room podcast, and you're listening to Vince Wright on the Talking Elvis podcast. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so after the show, did you hang around and get to meet people?
We didn't. So after the show, actually, the three performers went down to the lobby for a meet and greet. You could stop by and get pictures with them. And the line was so long, and we kind of, it would have been really nice to meet them and really cool. The line looked like it would have taken hours to get through. And I felt like I wanted to tap someone on the shoulder and be like, this isn't Elvis. Like, is this 2-hour wait? Like that seemed silly to me.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? This is where I'm not knocking it, but I don't get it. I just don't get it, and that's why I really want to put this together, because I'm trying to get. I've been to some. It sounds like you went to a very well produced one, where sometimes it's a guy in the corner of a bar, and it looks sad because Elvis wasn't on a stage that's 6 inches off the ground with a backing tape. So the big productions, I can kind of feel you can get into the spirit of things a little bit more. Have you been to any since?
No, I haven't been to any since, and I don't know that I would necessarily go back. I had my experience. It was super fun. I don't know that I would need to do it again. But it did give me a good understanding, I think, of why people do go and why it's so fun. I had kind of been against the whole ETA idea beforehand. And I think that was kind of like what you were just saying. My view of that was just, like I've said before, fat old men in jumpsuits in kind of a bad picture. And these performers did an incredible job of not letting it be like that. And of course, the 70s guy was in a jumpsuit. Of course he was. But he didn't push it past a certain limit that would have been making a caricature of it. So I mean,
That's good. The character. This is what I think is I experienced the Rocky Horror Show in a similar way you did to that. I went to see it at first and I didn't know about the audience participation. So I'm sitting there normal, everybody else is dressed freaky, and I didn't know what hit me. I went years later and went dressed as Eddie and absolutely had a ball. But is Elvis the product then? Is an Elvis like anybody can play the part of Frankenfurter in that? You don't go, oh, it has to be Tim Curry. You go, whoever's doing it. Has Elvis become that now? Has Elvis not a real person? He's a character. Is he? Is it like doing Shakespeare with that we're just playing it?
That's a good question, and I think it does get to that point, and I really hope not. And what I really enjoyed, again, kind of going back to that 70s Elvis, because I think that's really the era where it can really go either one way or the other. And I was kind of thinking about it, like he did do some karate poses, but looking at videos of Elvis, so did he. Like Elvis was demonstrative on stage, and I think that's why it gets kind of to that silly area sometimes. And he did like fan out his cape kind of in that pose that we've all seen, but Elvis did that, and I think he did a really good job of doing what Elvis would have done, and not making a character of it. And I hope that, I wish that it would always be that way. And I think just like any profession, there could be really great ETAs and really poor ETAs. And these gentlemen did a great job. They honestly, watching their dance moves and hearing them when they spoke between songs, they must have studied for hours, hundreds of hours. The dance moves were to a T. It was actually incredible, and their voices, and the things that they said, and the jokes that they made. They must have studied every interview he's ever given, every recorded, production we have ever been able to see. They really treat this as a craft.
Yeah. So when you talked about cover bands before, the cover bands come out and they go, I'm going to do the Stones, I'm going to do whoever, and they just do them straight in their own voice. When we seem to have ETA as a phrase, Elvis tribute artist, but for years it was impersonators, wasn't it? People called them impersonators, and it became a newer thing, sort of to make it. Is that trying to make it art? Is it trying to say that an impersonator is a dodgy guy in a pub, but an ETA is a professional or something? I can't see how this phrase evolved. I've seen David Bowie impersonators, but they never called them David Bowie persona something or others. They just got up, did the Zowie Bowie bit, and went. And you went, that's a good night. But it never felt like they were eat, sleep, breathe, I am him. And it's that crossover of, do you actually believe you're Elvis? And do you actually believe you're watching Elvis? Where if I'm just going for a bit of fun with the lads and we're having a drink, and you watch a Madonna, it's not Madonna, but you're just going, wow, we sing along with all these. It's great, isn't it?
Right. And to be honest, with how excited the women were, especially when they did the more Elvis, like the shaking the leg, the little dance moves, I don't think they would have been satisfied going to see a cover band do their own version of an Elvis song.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were looking for. They wanted to see Elvis Presley, and this is the closest thing that they can get. And I don't know, does that kind of evolve into a whole nother issue or question of why can we just not admit that he's not here, he's not coming back? I think it kind of gets into we don't want to let go, so we need to try to carry on.
Because that leads to my other worry, is that if Elvis is this product that we can go and see somebody be an Elvis, then surely RCA in the future could release an album by one of these guys singing songs that weren't even written when Elvis was alive. So if you could have, I don't know, Elvis sings Green Day, and they would just be covering American Idiot, but by Elvis. And would we accept that as an Elvis product when it's clearly there is no bloodline at all.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar debate of all that we're able to do with technology now. Like,
Oh, good one.
we could create, like, with all the words Elvis has been recorded to say throughout his life, we could create an entirely new song using his voice. And is that okay? I would say no.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
with the technology, we can. And some people would say yes, and why not? And would we want to hear how Elvis takes on Green Day? And I, I think it gets messy, and I like to leave things as they were. And it's unfortunate that we didn't get more time and more songs from him, but that's reality. And
I always go back. Well, we got a lot more than we did of Buddy Holly and Eddie Cochran. So
sure.
we should, we should be glad of that, shouldn't we? Yeah. Oh, that's great. I could talk about this all night because I have so many questions on it. Is there anything that you feel you'd like to add in the for the show of any opinions about, good or bad, about the whole idea of tribute artists?
I think the only other thing is, like I was saying, when I went into the evening, I was kind of against ETAs, and like I said, I probably wouldn't volunteer to go again to see one, or to see a concert like this again. But it was really, I think, a really positive thing to see people still get so excited about Elvis, and that a
That's
lot of
nice.
performers who have been gone 43 years this week, you don't get that. You don't get that excitement or that emotion. But Elvis still does. And it was really, really nice for me to see all the families there and to see children hearing this.
Yeah.
And that's how he gets to live on. And that was the only thing for me that I left saying, like, okay, this is okay, because people are still listening to him, people are still excited about him, people still love him, and that is a really positive thing.
I think that's an amazing answer because, I buy anything and everything I can get my hands on music wise, but I can still hear Way Down come on the radio, and I'm so excited. I could listen to it literally any second of the day I ever wanted to, but it comes on surprise on cheapo FM or whatever I'm listening to, and it's just there, and you go, what a great song. And people not experiencing that, not getting excited by just that, hearing Way Down, or I don't know, with all the troubles in the world at the moment, you can't beat If I Can Dream as the anthem for now.
Yep.
And it's years and years later. I think seriously, then you've come on here. I like this. You've not knocked it. You've said silly. You've said this, but you've defended it as well, and I like that. There's room for everybody, but we don't quite get it. So you're on Team Vince a bit, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on the fence and I'm being wishy-washy, but like you said, there's room for everybody. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
my thing. I'm As long as they are respectful, I think it's okay. I hate the idea of the sad, depressed, fat jumpsuit Elvis. I hate that. I wish that was outlawed.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as long as we remain respectful, I think it's bringing people pleasure. It's bringing people memories that they haven't thought of in a long time. So I think it is. I think it is okay.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you very much. That's been really interesting. I'm glad you came along.
Thank you.
And anytime you want to come on the show again, if you've got an opinion about anything Elvis, I love talking Elvis. I really am holding myself back here because I could talk to you all night.
I could
So,
too. I wish I had more memories, because
yeah.
it was a really fun evening. It was hilarious. I don't think we stopped smiling the whole time. And
No, that's great. Elvis causes you to smile,
right,
and the world needs a lot of that, doesn't it?
I don't think there was a person in the venue not smiling. I
Yeah.
I, I think people were smiling ear to ear from the moment the first guy started till the end.
And there's a magic of Elvis, loud Elvis, whether it's real or pretend Elvis, but loud Elvis, beer, and like-minded people, it is contagious.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Well, thanks for your time. Please come back. You're now top of my list. So thanks very much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Bye. Bye, Vince.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye now.
Got a question? Email Vince at talkingelvis.co.uk.
Right. I hope you enjoyed that. It's nice to get a younger view. Sometimes I forget I'm old as a conker tree sometimes. It's nice to see what people think who were around in the time of Elvis. So very different views, but also some very similar views to mine. So I'm very, very pleased with that one. Lots we can take on board from that one. And this is why I created this podcast, because it is Talking Elvis. For years we've been in pubs and clubs at Graceland, at conventions, wherever it is, and you meet new people and you've all got that bond, and that's why I love Talking Elvis. So if you've got your story to tell, come on, join us, get it going. Whatever the thing is, something that's really passionate to you. You've bought this box set, you bought that bootleg. What was it going to be? I would love to hear of it. We love our top fives, so I'm sure we'll have a few more of those before long.
Hi, guys. What's on the show next week?
Next week's show, we're having a surprise guest co-host. Dun, dun, dun. Somebody else is going to be with us next week, so we'll let you know nearer the time what's going on. But come along, we'll see you soon.
Find us at www.talkingelvis.co.uk or Facebook or YouTube or Spotify. In fact, any place you get your podcasts.